Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Fantastic Fermentations YouTube channel, the place where you can learn everything that you need to know about home brewing and more. Today I've got my sidekick Emery with me. Say hi.
Hi.
And we are going to be talking about a product that I use in home brewing all the time, and it has helped me to make very clear beer. And that product is the Bouncer. So stay tuned, and we're going to jump into some facts about the Bouncer. Okay, so the first thing that you do with beer before you even taste it is you look at it. And if something doesn't look appetizing, doesn't look like something that you want to drink, then 9 times out of 10, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to think that it's a good thing. So that's where the Bouncer comes in. What the Bouncer is set to do is to help you get clear beer without sacrificing any of the flavors. Now, in the past, we've had filters that were more like a paper filter, like cloth filters. Those filters work really well in getting everything out of the beer, but they also would strip a lot of compounds out that would enhance the flavor of beer. So yes, you would run it through the filter, you'd get clear beer, but then the beer wouldn't taste as good as if you had not filtered it. So with the Bouncer is a product that will filter the beer, but will let all the flavor particles that you want to maintain flavor through, while keeping back things such as yeast and hop particles. So the Bouncer comes in 2 different sizes. The one that I have here that is in line, that's already on my racking cane, is the standard Bouncer size. And then they also make a larger one called the Mac Daddy. Isn't that funny? Now the Mac Daddy is for your heavier jobs. So if you've got if you can look at your beer, you can tell that there's a lot of particles floating around in there, and you're like, okay, I need something a little bit bigger. That's where you're using a Mac Daddy. Or if you're doing a 10-gallon batch, you're going to want to be using a Mac Daddy. They also have provided me, or Bouncer, my friends at Bouncer, provided me with the new sizes of the filters. So they come with these standard filters. I don't even know if you can see here, but the red filters, they're pretty fine, but some particles can come through that. These new white filters are going to be a lot more fine, and they're gonna hold back a lot more particles. So you should get clearer beer with this. So this is what I'm going to be using on my next transfer, which me and Emery are going to do here in a moment, and you can kind of see exactly how much clearer it is, how much particles are getting held back by this thing. So I've got the fine strainer for the Mac Daddy, and I have the fine strainer for the standard, and I'm going to take a look and see which one is going to be the best for me to use for this application. They also come with some nice screw-in connectors to screw into the top here, so that you can connect it in line to your racking cane. And they have 2 different sizes depending on what types of hoses you're using. If you're using the 5-gallon batch, 10-gallon batch, some people like to use a larger tubing so that transfer happens quicker. So, but for both sizes that you will use, they give you these for the Mac Daddy. The standard version already has barbs on the end of it, so there's no need to worry about anything here. I've even seen some people twisting in cam and groove lock fittings here so that they can cam and groove in line and flow that way. That's an option that you can do as well. If you're wondering how much the Bouncers run for, you can get them from Atlantic Brew Supply, and everybody knows that I always pub Atlantic Brew Supply. That's where I work sometimes, and that's also where I teach my all-grain brewing classes. So feel free to visit their website and use them for all your homebrew needs. But the standard Bouncer is $27.99, and the Mac Daddy is $39.95. To get the updated filter screens, the finer mesh filter screens for the standard are going to be $16.95. Oh no, they're going to be $12.95, and then for the Mac Daddy, they're going to be $16.95. Not a bad investment to continually get clear beer. So hang tight. Me and Emery are going to do a transfer. You ready? All right. So I've got my beer, and fermentation has completed, and I've actually gone through a 24-hour cold crash. So as you can see, I did a dry hop on this. The dry hop was about 3 ounces. I did an ounce of Cryo Citra, an ounce of Cryo Mosaic, and an ounce of Centennial. So all those hop particles, for the most part, have sank to the bottom. I do still have some floating here. So I don't think that I'm gonna need the Mac Daddy for this one. I just think the standard version will work just fine. So I'm gonna use the standard with the fine mesh screen so that I can see exactly how much I'm gonna pull out. I may pull some floated yeast particles out of here, some yeast that's still in suspension, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so as you can see, I've got it set up here with my racking cane in, and the bouncer is right here in line, and I've got the fine mesh filter on it. So I'm gonna sit the camera down and rack it and start the transfer, and then we'll see what we're getting. All right, so the transfer is underway, and you can't see it, but it is flowing. And before I hit record, there were a couple of bubbles that were going through. That air, you see a little uptake there, but that air gets pushed out as you're transferring, and and it goes straight in. So we are going to fill this keg, and we'll see how this turns out. Okay, as you can see, I drained everything out of the fermenter all the way down to the dregs. Didn't leave hardly any liquid behind. So now we can unscrew the filter and see exactly what we put. All right, as stated before, this beer was already cold crashed. The majority of the hops and yeast had already dropped out, but, and I'm gonna try my best to show you here, as you can see, we still pull quite a fair amount of yeast and chunks of things out of the beer. So let's pull that filter. Alright, I don't know. Oh, you can see it even better there. Let's see if I can. And that's just some of it there. And most of it is actually still caked inside the filter. So, pretty good. Okay, so is the bouncer all you need to make clear beer? No, it isn't. There's a couple of things you're also going to need. You're going to need, number one, you're going to need to put Werflock in your boil to help drop some of those particles out at the end of the boil. I also use Clarity Firm at the beginning of fermentation. That does help with chill haze, and it also helps with gluten. So if you got friends that are, have a gluten allergy, it could also make it so that your beer is able to be drunk by them. But then there's cold crashing. If you're using kegs, you can cold crash your beer to drop a lot out, and then partner that with the bouncer, and you'll be able to get really clear beer. And I must say, these fine mesh strainers work well, because even with cold crashing and using the red one, I usually don't get much pull after a cold crash unless I've got a lot of hot particles in it. But even today, I got a lot of particles from the fine mesh that I wouldn't have gotten with the normal red. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you found that this information was useful today. Don't forget to go and visit our friends at Atlantic Brew Supply. They can help you with anything. Feel free to give them a call too and tell them that you heard about the products or heard about them from the channel, and they'll be more than happy to give you all the information you need. But we will see you next time. What do you say? Yeah, bye.